In my experience, there are two great misconceptions about what MPs do. The first is that they should be sitting in the chamber of the House of Commons all the time, listening to debates, that somehow that's their job. I mean, I'd challenge anyone to be able to sit for, 8 hours till about 10:30 at night, most of the time, fully concentrating on the fabulous oratory of some good speakers, but also some very bad speakers. But what's the point on an issue where you know how you're going to vote? You might want to contribute to the debate, in which case you have to be there, of course. You won't be called unless you were there from the start of the debate. But if you've got nothing to say on the issue, but you know how you're going to vote, why would you sit there for all that time? Particularly as, and this is the bit about this misconception, some of my constituents expected me to be in the chamber every time the camera went round and I wasn't there. Where was Alan Johnson? There were newspaper pictures sometimes, only 7 people in the House of Commons. Well, that's because they're all doing other things. You've got select committees. You've got all-party parliamentary groups. You've got constituents coming up to see you. And most importantly, you've got your constituency caseload. So there's hardly an MP now that doesn't have a constituency surgery. Very unusual. 50 years ago even, 100 years ago, unknown. Now, I had 4 a month. And they would come to me with problems, would my constituents, and I'd be expected to solve them. Could I solve them sitting in the House of Commons every day, just listening to, with all due respect, someone droning on an issue that I didn't need to be persuaded on? That's the first misconception. The second is, my constituents thought I carried this power that allowed me to tell the local authority what to do, the mayor, if it's a mayoral system, what to do, that I was omnipotent, that when they came to an MP and said, I've got this problem, they expected me to have some power, some command and control power, where I would just tell people in other areas of public service, NHS, for instance, whatever, tell them what to do. Of course, that's not our system. And part of that is people would say, well, how come you're a Hull MP and we've got this problem with the health service and you're the Secretary of State for Health, why can't you sort it out? As if we were some kind of corrupt regime where civil servants just had to look after the constituency of the person who happened to be Secretary of State. I mean, that would be an outrageous system. It happens in some countries, by the way, whereas in our system, you're actually not allowed. I talked another time about the issues that were most important to me. One was the fishing community in Hull. I wasn't allowed to do anything as a minister on the fishing community in Hull because it would have been a conflict of interest. I might have been favouring that group of people, 60,000 people in my constituency, over the rest of the country. So that misconception, once you explain it to people, that in a democracy, local government is elected under different rules, and I'm not, the council leader doesn't report to me, isn't answerable to me, it's not a benign dictatorship. And also the fact that you can't just build roads in your constituency and get the government to put money into that because you happen to come from that area. And I think once it's explained to people, they understand. But this misconception does persist.